All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. We're going to unpause and repause, of course, so I don't have to see my ugly face in triplicate. Yes, indeed. Of course, as before for the last few days, much of the news and the news cycle is either about the Charlie Kirk assassination or it's related to the Charlie Kirk assassination, among other things. For some reason, it looks like I'm freezing up here. I don't know if anyone else saw that. It looked like I glitched out there for a second. Oh well. Anyways, so we'll be talking about that. Je suis Charlie. That's from the Free Press, of course. And so we'll just talk generally about that, because that's still basically the number one news story at the moment. But we do have other things to talk about. We do have the Charlie Kirk Act and the Iryna, I'm probably butchering that, Zarutska Act as well. We'll be getting into the context of those in brief as well, because that's related also. And then also we have Marco Rubio potentially gaining new powers with regards to passport revocation, an alteration of the existing language of something that he already has the power in some cases to do. The Secretary of State can, for example, take someone's passport away if they've been convicted of terrorism or something like that, which makes sense because you don't want them to skip town and end up in Islamabad or something like that. But the wording of the bill gives me concerns, and I'm not the only commentator who's generally supportive of the Trump administration who has concerns with regards to this. We have a reform on pharmaceutical advertising. Actually, RFK Jr. gave an interview the other day about this. Trump did indeed sign an order with regards to this, so it's going to change the way in which they do their advertising on television specifically, and so we'll look into that. I happen to support that move completely. California passes law banning ICE officers from wearing masks. Interesting, because California was anally retentive about everyone having to wear them not that long ago. And the thought plickens. Jimmy Kimmel tears into Trump over his response to Charlie Kirk assassination. This is funny. Kimmel praised Presidents Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton for their responses to Kirk's murder. Again, showing that the Bush family is in with the liberals, because they are liberals. Joe Biden's response was to fall asleep and then eat another bran muffin when he woke up. Romania condemns irresponsible Moscow after Russian drone breaches its airspace. Yes, this was the other day, much like with that case in Poland, I think that was 3 days ago, Russian drones allegedly entered Polish airspace. Some of them were shot down, actually. In Romania's case, they gave the order not to shoot them down. Well, they gave them clearance to do so, but the pilots decided against it due to the possibility of collateral damage, actually. So we're going to be talking about all of that and much, much more, of course. Yeah, there's an internet civil war, so Je suis Charlie Kirk. I wanted to talk more about the internet's response at the moment, actually. Because, again, we still don't have full details on what the hell happened. We know that Charlie Kirk was killed. We know he was assassinated. And we know who the alleged suspect is. Presumptively is guilty. So, that Tyler Robinson's probably not going to see the outside for quite some time, since this is terroristic. It's not just a regular old premeditated murder. There was a terroristic aspect, it seems, to it. Possibly a bigoted aspect, ironically enough. One could deem it anti-Christian, just saying. He was pretty outspoken about those particular beliefs. So the internet response, though, fascinates me. You have, because of the 10-second news cycle at this point, used to be the 15-minute news cycle, now it's more like 10 seconds, if that in some cases. Anytime something major happens, people will dogpile the issue. Now, some people are doing that to get attention. It's fame-seeking. They latch on to something that's big in the news in order to talk about it, give their opinions. Also, it promulgates fanatic opinions in some cases, mainly among the legacy media, actually. If you look at the online world, even though it's in uproar at the moment, the legacy media battering rams are going at it nonstop 24/7 at the moment. That's where your real propaganda is. Online, it's a little bit different. It tends to be more like some grassroots individual is just, posting shit. And then you get the shilling, the paid shills and stuff like that. Plenty of them, by the way, paid by the DNC, actually. So you've got the muddying of the waters. Well, everyone conducts themselves in a violent manner all the time. This isn't abnormal. You do have an attempt still by some individuals on the left to blame guns for this, which hasn't really worked, and I don't know why they're even continuing to try doing so. And then you get the normal shit flinging and stuff, but you get that over literally anything. Try posting one of your recipes online. You get 20 people telling you about one ingredient that you missed and why you're an asshole for having done so. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well, because we've also got the Charlie Kirk Act and the Zarutska Act as well. Copium Poppy is not sure if you're familiar with your fellow YouTuber Metatron. You should check out his channel. If not, he is Italian, trying to become a U.S. citizen. Read our response to his tweet. I DM'd you. No, I'm not familiar. I'll check it out. Spike. I do support the firings of those that cheered on the death of Charlie, especially because these people are legal liabilities. My college UK is currently protecting the head of security. Now, here's what I think with regards to that. If somebody is simply critical of Charlie Kirk or something, or they're chuckling about the fact that he's dead, unless they're in a role where it's like they're publicly funded, so like a teacher or a cop or something like that, or if they're in like, PR room at a corporation or something, I don't see that if Willie the janitor decides to, criticize Charlie Kirk while the blood's still wet, I don't know that I want them fired because I don't believe in cancel culture. But some of these are direct incitements to violence. A lot of these people, they're public officials, they're working for the public, again, taxpayer funded, or they're from companies, and this ties in to like the Israel boycott bill thing that I'll be talking about probably separately tomorrow. It ties into contract work and things like that for the government. If taxpayer money is involved, there's a different standard that's involved. And private corporations generally do have impunity to fire whoever they want. It's just, is it right to do that in every situation? I like to take it on a case-by-case basis myself. Copium Poppies, seriously, check out the tweet on stream. It's hilarious. So, Metatron's tweet. Try to find it. Sometimes Twitter can be a little bit cantankerous for searching for things. Let's see. Oh, it's on YouTube. Oh, the tweet on stream. Can you link that to me? I'll have my DMs open. Assuming that they do open. Again, sometimes, Twitter has some issues. Santel, I think Jeremy might be in trouble. Did a call-out video of streamers over Charlie and a GTA streamer with more subs who I think is apolitical is in it. Now their audiences are going after each other. Well, yeah, who cares, Sometimes content creators have a difference of opinion and they spar online and so do their audience. It's like a little mini war. Heraclius. YouGov found 24% think Kirk was killed by a Republican, 40% unsure of political affiliation. The lie machine is still working. Copium, I DM the response to you. Okay, thank you very much. I'll refresh this. Yeah. It's funny that somebody would think that this was a Republican. There was never any evidence of that, but there's plenty of reason to believe that it would be the result of, okay. Wait. Let me see. Let's see. So Metatron posted, my proceeding for American citizenship has begun. It will take time, but I will be one of you American brothers and sisters. Let's unite and fight for a better American dream, for our families, for your loved ones, and for our beautiful and free country. God bless America, your brother in Christ. And then Copium posted a picture of spaghetti being snapped. Why am I not surprised? You seem a little bit obsessed with that particular topic. Oh, Anton's here, by the way. Whenever Anton arrives, we must eat biltong. It is important. It is necessary. It's also really good in other foods. Had a stir fry actually a couple days ago, and I put Bovrite in when I mixed the sauce for it because it was too bland. My dad made it, and he should not make Asian food. Just saying. If you want a nice wholesome soup, then he's the guy to go to for it. But yeah, to keep it bland so that mom could eat it because she doesn't eat onion and doesn't like a lot of seasoning and spices. Yeah, it had to be improved. We'll put it that way. It was absolutely, you have to. I like a lot of seasoning, spices, and oniony things. Let's put it that way. Stephen M. Sticks, keep in mind, these lefties who are cheering on Charlie's death who work in food service aren't above tampering with food. Just saying. Yeah, that's always a big problem. You remember, it was a couple of years ago, they had that thing where they were trying to, like, lick people's food and spit in it and stuff at the grocery store. Unfortunately, food service workers can do the same thing physically. Stephen M. Oh, I read that one. Alan Smithy, did you see Ruben demolish Zank on Piers' show? No, I didn't, actually. I don't really pay attention to Piers Morgan's crap. Copium Puppies, no, you missed the text of the response. I DM'd you the reply in the post. Oh, yes. Let me grab that. I hope you know the gravity of the decision. Italian Americans are required by federal law and most state laws to snap spaghetti noodles before boiling. Is that something you can bring yourself to do in order to assimilate into American culture? I guess that makes me a dissident. Xantel, pretty sure Jeremy actually said he wished the guy dead is the thing. Was also harassing him on Discord messages. That's never happened before. Dark Viper AU is his name. Could be a big TOS violation on Jur's part is the problem. Yeah, they might apply differential enforcement or something. What do fuck? You said your father was a Marine. Do you know what his MOS was? Job. I was an 0311. He'll know what that is. No, I don't know. 0311, I'll have to ask him. Let's get to our sponsors before we get to the rest of the news, shall we? I wanted to open up with that one specifically because that's the big news that people are talking about. And then, we will be talking separately about the Charlie Kirk Act, which I fully support. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. Yes, indeed. They are nutraceutical in nature. You can also get doggo snacks. I had a dream that I actually got a big-ass box of the dog snacks from Cultivated Mind not that long ago. I think that was Saturday. It was a very interesting dream, let's put it that way. And they will help to boost your focus. And I should take one right now. I already took one of them this morning, but, two is better than one when you're dealing with these guys. And there are several different varieties. They have different mixes of extracted mushroom material. It's the chemicals that are extracted from mushrooms, all organically grown and everything else. Pretty good stuff. We have BiltongUSA.com, the home of Anton's meat, which you should eat. He's got Wagyu, he's got Angus, he's got bison, he's got venison, he's got spicy and mild. Various things, both shredded and in stick form. I like the Cabanassi sticks for when I'm on the go, because they're more convenient than the shredded kind. But some shredded meat is really, really great in a soup. Also, we got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available as well. And finally, jamnbean.com. That is jamnbean.com, where you can get a variety of delicious teas and coffees. Clanker Blend coffee, of course, is the one that I typically drink, although the Costa Rica blend is a close second. And then you've got various teas. The Yunnan Jig is superb. The Healer tea is superb. Also the Jolly Peach. I like the Jolly Peach a lot as well. So yeah, check out these sites and use code STICKS to get a discount. Sigil, what about Pushroom Mills? Where can I get those? Maybe he doesn't have one. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. So yeah, Charlie Kirk remains dead. Update, like nobody in the world didn't know. I think that people out in Bhutan know that Charlie Kirk got shot at this point, considering the enormity of it in the news cycle. Across the world, it's an international thing. And that's what the left isn't understanding here. The response is not just coming from their fellow Americans, it's also coming from other countries as well. You've had vigils and rallies and stuff in Canada, the UK, other places, for Charlie Kirk because he had that broad international audience. So he had a lot of people in other countries that liked him too. And I can understand why, because he was one of the people at the forefront of fighting against communism, which is what the far left, so-called, is engaging in. I just call them communists at this point. The far left doesn't do the ideology justice. You can be far left and not be a narcissistic prick, but it certainly helps. It certainly helps. New bill would allow Rubio to strip U.S. citizens' passports over political speech. Now, here's the problem. Normally, the Secretary of State is capable of suppressing a person's passport and seizing it, assuming they've been convicted, and I don't necessarily always agree with that because it sounds an awful lot like red flag laws applied to guns, or convicted, which I do support because, you know, what are they going to do with their passport? They're in prison, so, you know, you might as well take it anyway and not give it back because you don't really want them on a large international airliner. That could be a problem, as we saw last, on September 11th, long ago. That became a little bit of a problem now, didn't it? So, what this would do, though, is allow him to effectively in theory, suspend the passport of someone for engaging in mere protest action. For example, there was an incident earlier, not earlier like today, but in months past, where Rubio did strip the passports of a number of people for simply protesting in favor of Palestine at a campus event. I can't remember what, does it list here? No. I can't remember exactly. Columbia protest. Some of these people did have ties to Hamas-linked organizations, so that's fine. But to have it be extrajudicial in the total sense, to the point where someone simply waving a Palestinian flag can get their, visa or their passport or whatever revoked, that I think goes a step too far. I would warn people on the right, because some of them are applauding this. Like, kick them out. That's great. This administration you trust with that power. What about the next administration? Foresight is a powerful thing. What's really, really problematic is that in the future you could have, President AOC. Well, we're going to designate, a bunch of nationalist movements in other countries, in Europe probably, exclusively, as terrorist organizations, because someone threw a rock or a punch or something like that. So, sorry, you can't have a passport. You can't come into the country. Don't you understand where this can potentially be going? This will just hyper-politicize things more. Keep the current system, I think, would be better. Silent T sent 99 cents. No comment. Thank you. Cooking Inferno. Do you catch my DM regarding attending a special event? If not, I'll resend. I might have, but things tend to get buried because I get so fucking many of them. Yeah. What I would say is you should maintain the current system. There should be some oversight with regards to the ability of the State Department to randomly take someone's passport. Like, for instance, this would insinuate that if I were to go down to the square down in Rutland, if I were to go down in front of the Walmart Plaza and wave a Palestinian flag and start saying, hey, Hamas is pretty great, that I could lose my passport. Well, that's protected speech. I'm not aiding or abetting anybody. I'm not giving them money or anything like that. This is the problem. If you're raising money for some group that Hamas is partnered with, that's one thing. As long as you can show, probable cause that that's going on, which isn't hard, then that would be one thing. But it appears that this would extend also to lawfully protected protest activity and expression online and things like that. That's a power I don't want the government to have. I don't want them to be able to attack people and make their lives miserable simply because of their political views. You can disagree with them. I wish that more of them were out in the open. That way they could be debated more easily because you'd know who they are. This is why I oppose any censorship online. Cooking Inferno. Oh, I already read that one. Sometimes I lose track because it can move fast, Killer Kriegsman, keep up the fight, dude. Absolutely. Where'd it go? Yeah, sometimes it comes in too hot. Emperor Soft Turtle. I watched Good Family by Mike Judge. The first joke goes, wife, what are we supposed to call African Americans? Husband, person of color. Wife, that is just colored person backwards. Made 2009. Yeah, I've pointed that out too. I especially like the BIPOC label. Yes, a person from Ghana is exactly the same as a person from Indonesia. That's basically what it insinuates. It's crazy. So yes, I do oppose that bill that is being referred through the House. I think it passed the House and now goes to the Senate. They'll probably pass it, unfortunately, because they're cucks. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. I believe people have the right to peacefully assemble and protest. It's kind of there in the Constitution. We need the Charlie Kirk Act and the Iryna Zarutska Act. This is from C3 over on Twitter. The Charlie Kirk Act to the end the government's use of media to spread propaganda. This reinstitutes the Munt Act. This is very important. This is something that some of us have been screaming from the rooftops for years. You remember, originally, for a very long time, the U.S. government was banned from utilizing domestic media to propagandize to the domestic population. Now, if you want to install a news service and propagandize over in Pakistan or something, that's not illegal. There's no problem there. But they were banned from doing it in the United States, from scrambling people's minds with psyops, effectively. Unfortunately, Obama decided to end that. He signed an EO to end that particular act in order to allow domestic broadcasters to air propaganda on behalf of the U.S. government, which happened frequently during Biden's election bid and re-election bid, you will see. It's still happening now. The legacy media is constantly propagandizing on behalf of the Uniparty. Well, that shouldn't be happening. It was illegal for a very long time. Never should have been done away with. But what we see is that they were building a master plan, so to speak, to try to, globalize and tyrannize the U.S. population. It's easier to do that if you can fool them with disinformation. See, the real disinfo is coming from the Uniparty, not from some Russian troll farm or something like that. Does it exist? Yes. Is it quite as big a thing? No, not even close. And then you have the Iryna Zarutska Act. This would hold judges accountable for releasing criminals that end up terrorizing society. Yes, indeed, if a judge slips their authority and they decide to release someone and then they go out and they slaughter 3 people the second that they leave the courthouse, the judge would be culpable. They could be fired. They could be, potentially, they could be even prosecuted, if I remember correctly, reading the summary of the idea. I support both of these. We need justice for both of these individuals. It's very important. By the way, just as an aside, I realize that Charlie Kirk is a high-profile figure, big-time activist, and so forth, but we can't lose sight of Zarutska either. The fact that she was working at a pizza parlor and just got randomly stabbed to death doesn't mean that a person didn't die. Don't have any clue what her political views are, and that's the thing. Neither did the person that stabbed her. Knew nothing about it. I've seen leftoids right now, by the way. Oh, this is gobbledygook. The leftoids are trying to claim that she said the N-word, and that predicated the attack. Number one, does that justify killing someone? And number two, where's your fucking proof? Because I've seen multiple shill accounts saying, well, it's common knowledge that she said the N-word and that's why he attacked her. No, it's not. Where's the footage of this having happened? I don't see any. I don't see anyone testifying to the fact that that happened. Yeah. Just a sec. I keep losing track of the chats. There's so many people watching. Yeah. Bobby ends, I will say no more, need to be sent to Liberia like Lincoln wanted originally. Yes, indeed. Abraham Lincoln was a proponent of freeing the slaves and then putting them back in Africa because he felt that they didn't assimilate into society. By modern definitions, Abraham Lincoln was actually pretty racist, if you use the modern definition anyway. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, Voodoo Viking. The CIA killed Charlie. Fits their previous history. Well, they do like whacking people, that's for sure. For some reason, it looks like it might be frozen over on Rumble. Can people on Rumble actually see me? Oh, yeah, Sigil. Rumble chat is all bugged out and fucked up. Yep. So it seems, my friend, so it seems. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is happy. The 1997 law on Pharma TV ads is now done away with, which means pharmaceutical companies, there was a reason why they did that particular reform, but it's outgrown its usefulness. As we've seen with the actions of pharmaceutical companies, they need to be held on a tighter leash, I think, and I think that RFK Jr. agrees with that. Trump seems to as well, since he did sign off on the EO. What this does is it eliminates the 97 concept that because it would take so long to read out the side effects on a TV ad, that they would allow them to just do it, on phone and on computer and stuff like that. They could list the full side effects there, and on TV, they could simply list some of the more significant side effects, some of the more common ones, and then they could have a link, a phone number or something, to read about the rest of the crap that might happen to you if you take this pill. Insatiable gluttony, pica, the urge to eat everything in front of you, an insane desire to roll around in pig crap and stuff like that. I think that this is a good idea. If you're going to make a drug or sell a treatment or something, you should have to tell people exactly what could happen to them. It's good that they be inconvenienced. Hopefully the next time around, they'll create a product that is better and has fewer side effects. Well, win-win, I suppose. We get to inconvenience some medical corporatists, and then we get a chance to, actually know what's in the medicine. When the entire ad is literally, buy this pill, here's a list of side effects, and then the next 30 seconds is literally just nonstop side effects. That would be hilarious, actually. May cause constipation. May cause diarrhea. Could cause both of them at the same time, in which case they cancel each other out and you'll be perfectly fine. Green Text Pro, do you want to win free Styx books? Free coffee, free meat, free Styx mugs? That's right, we're giving away prizes to our top posters on clankers.net. Algorithm-free Bants 24/7. Join us, Clank. Sounds like fun. So yeah, RFK Jr. Right now is a very happy man, I believe, because he got what he was pushing for this, and then, yeah, it became a thing. So now, look forward to, in the immediate future, seeing pharmaceutical ads, like when you're watching TV. Not that you should be watching TV for the most part anyway, but, if you happen to be dropping by and doing that, you're going to see, a laundry list of terrible, terrible things that can happen to you. You're like, man, I get headaches. Well, take our headache pill. It may cause your heart to explode. It may cause brain cancer. Oh, and your feet may fall off, and probably your cock. I think that that's an improvement. BW, why did the Lincoln plan fall through? Because he was killed. And the subsequent administrations realized that it was a better idea for strategic purposes to not do so. The carpetbagging era began. It goes into a very, very long historical sort of subject. It's impossible for me to cover it in a single video, not even a live stream. I love my Styx cup, by the way. Hee hee. Harrison Bergeron, politicos in D.C. are some of the most prolific serial killers in history, with their support of foreign wars, without many and all of the people killed. Yeah. Keep in mind, your own government is the only one that can legalize its abuse of you, and the government kills a lot more people overseas and domestically than the civilian population ever could. Supposedly, it's a big problem that the U.S. public is so well armed, but they rarely use their weapons for violent purposes. Interesting. It's almost like people tend to prefer peace and prosperity and to be left alone. This is why I'm a classical liberal. King of Biltong, we're doing I Am Charlie Kirk shirts. We'll donate all proceeds to whatever fund is set up for the family. We're keeping the cost low to distribute as wide as possible. Available on www.biltong.com. Yes, we here in Styx Exendum are friends of the pro-Charlie Kirk crowd. William Patry, what kind of product do you use on your hair? Shampoo. And only shampoo. And I don't shower every day. That's why it stays floofy. Ejei. I'm a huge fan and one of the oldest. Lol. Yes, I think I know who you are. Send an email. Yeah. So what we do need the Charlie Kirk Act. That one is a given. That one must pass. We've been talking about this since, when was it that Obama down that, like 2011 or something like that? I think it was in his second term. Or was it? No, because 2011 the president. It was maybe 2013 or thereabouts. Then I guess it was early in his second term, and basically allows the government to lie to us all and to pay companies to do so. It's like Stasi shit when you think about it. Obama loved his propaganda. Biden loved it even more. Of course, he wasn't the one that was fomenting it. Anytime you see like the older uniparty liberals creating propaganda and memes and stuff, it always is bullshit. Like when they tried to do the Dark Brandon thing. Oh boy, wasn't that funny. Of course, it was adapted from a Chinese cartoon depicting him as a warmonger, but they thought it was a good idea. I always called it Dork Brandon. And then you had like Elizabeth Warren's meme team. Look that up. If you don't know about Elizabeth Warren's meme team, it itself was the only funniness in the meme. The meme team itself became the meme. Oh, it was glorious. I loved it. So yeah, pass these two acts post haste, and it'll be a better world, I think. And as far as the Pharma TV ads, that's something I think we can all probably support. Because the pharmaceutical companies really screwed us over lately now, didn't they? Well, maybe isn't to be punished. Sorry, I had to make that reference. California passes law banning ICE officers from wearing masks. Oh, how funny. California was one of the most pro-mask states during the Voldemort disease outbreak, and forced people to wear them, including in many outdoor venues too, with all the social distancing, lockdownerism, and stuff like that. But masks were a big part of it, let alone the fact that, in retrospect, even the WHO now acknowledges very limited benefit, and they were acting like the sky was falling, but, it still seems to be out there. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky at the moment. We're in a drought. But the sky is there at least, just doesn't have any rain in it, sadly for me. That garden out there, you should see the soil in it. It's dry. Very dry. I find this funny. Now, do I really care whether... this ban is unenforceable anyway. What are they going to do? ICE officers show up with masks on, and what are you going to do? Are you going to arrest the ICE officers? That will go... The first time that happens, it will go over so well with all the people that support guarding the border, having safe communities. All those people will be very, very happy to see what Gavin Newsom's priorities are. That being said, though, it's also hypocritical because you were forcing everyone to wear face diapers, and now you're trying to tell these people they can't simply because they're ICE agents. This will probably spark a lawsuit, too. There are literal criminal penalties involved with this. Let me ask, which one has seniority in the situation? Some random beat cop or a bunch of ICE agents with M16s? Probably the latter. I have a feeling that a lot of the cops in California won't even bother to enforce it anyway. If there is, it'll be sporadic. It'll make Gavin Newsome look weak, or it'll actually be followed through with and you get a massive federal lawsuit. One of these two things is almost certain to happen, assuming any kind of enforcement is actually attempted at all. So, Gavin, once again, making a dumb decision. Oh wait, it's a day that ends in Y. I'm more surprised when a day goes by that he's not putting his foot in his mouth trying to gain attention. And clearly high on amphetamine at multiple moments. Muddy Drip, JD Vance, is hosting the Seiki show right now. Yeah, I saw that. Yes, JD Vance is actually doing the Charlie Kirk show today. Duragellin, the Fallout modder. Leftists are still coping about the assassin not being one of theirs. Rest in peace, Iryna and Charlie. Yes, indeed. Alex Sargent, have you seen the vids from Cali where they've replaced the glass in stores with polycarb? It's funny watching them fail. Bet it'll be made illegal. Yeah, Gavin Newsom seems to like the idea that people that he supposedly represents is when they suffer, he likes that. Adam Bomb B31458, enjoy your podcast. Another senior fan. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Newsom cannot be allowed to become the president of the United States. Thankfully, I think that that ship sailed with the French Laundry incident. Honestly, he's too derpy. He either gets derpy or he's just like a classic sleazy car salesman style politician. He reminds me of that what was the one that ran in the race? I think that was the one that Bush won. I think it was 2000. John Edwards, you remember him? And he came off. My mom really liked John Edwards till she found out that he was banging another woman while his wife was battling late stage cancer. I think she survived. I'm not sure if they divorced because I just don't care. But he looked like the pretty boy, and he had, like, the salesman smile thing going on, the little bit of jive. Reminded me a little bit like an Bill Clinton more than anything else. But I think that Newsom, I don't think he can cut it. He's not ready for prime time and never will be. There are a laundry list of other Democrats that might possibly run. We're not sure yet. My thought is still, the most likely outcome, and I feel like I need to sneeze and I don't want to sneeze. The most likely outcome, in my opinion, is that the Democrats jury-rig some dark horse candidate. They'll scout the talent and they'll say, look, here's a handful of people. They're well-spoken and stuff. Let's artificially elevate one of these people. Make it look like grassroots and stuff. We'll AstroTurf them. We'll have a couple shots in the locker in reserve just in case they don't cut it. But this is the person that we want. We're going to give them everything so that they're beholden to us once they're in office. That's basically the way machine politics works. King of Biltong, the government pays the media with our taxes to propagandize us, thereby increasing our taxes to pay the media more, etc., etc. No matter how much you hate the government, it's not enough. Yeah. Sammy Shammy, I know this is inconsequential, but Newsome looks fake. He looks like a cartoon villain. Yeah, he looks like he's auditioning to be that dude that was constantly trying to kill Superman, actually. What the hell was his name? I can't fucking remember. It's been a while since I've seen anything Superman related. What was his name? He was some Lex Luthor. Yeah, Lex Luthor. Yeah, he looks like that, basically. He looks like he should be playing that role in an upcoming Superman movie. He'd make more money doing that, although the Superman franchise is not necessarily doing that well for, well, the last several decades. I remember one where where those aliens came and they wanted to take over the world, and he was like he would help them if they gave him Australia, I believe was the plot. That one was interesting. Jimmy Kimmel tears into Trump over his response to Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, here's my problem. I don't care if you find it terrible that he would say, well, Charlie Kirk was a good guy and leftist violence needs to be stopped. Because, I mean, Kimmel likes leftist violence because he's a total hypocrite. So Jimmy Kimmel will rant about women's rights after having been on the Man Show for several years. So, here's babes on trampolines with short skirts and stuff like that. Excuse me if I don't take him seriously. What I do find funny, though, is that he would praise these others. Okay, George W. Bush, the dude responsible for millions of deaths around the world, including tens of thousands of or I think at least thousands of U.S. soldiers. I think it was in the tens, though. 500,000 Iraqi civilians. Oh, got the ball rolling on the destabilization of Afghanistan. When your claim to fame in the diplomatic sense is that your main victory was kind of sort of just restabilizing Iraq after you destroyed every bit of infrastructure. And there was that whole black bloc hanging and burning on the bridge incident, of course, and things like that. Yeah, he's one to trust with regards to political assassinations or violence, crime in general. What about Barack Obama? You mean the guy who extrajudiciarily assassinated a U.S. citizen on foreign soil? without due process? Okay. What about Joe Biden? Joe Biden loved his violence, reigning over, basically ignoring the crime rates in the inner cities and so forth, leading directly to this kind of thing in the process by mollycoddling the far left. Don't even get me started on Bill Clinton and all of his high crimes and misdemeanors. So these people are justified, but Donald Trump, orange man bad. Basically, it's just more orange man bad. Again, though, the dude is like a broken record. He's basically lost the plot and thinks that this sort of thing is still new and fresh. Get some new material. There are other people in politics that you can relentlessly criticize, That's another thing that I really like, by the way. I love it when people on the left claim that they're being mistreated because the legacy media would criticize a left-wing politician, or that they would make an article that didn't outright call Trump Hitler. As though the legacy media really is, I guess MSNBC is now a right-leaning network, according to these people. Come on, they're communists. If you think that MSNBC is far left, well then, you must be really goddamn far left. And Fetterman the other day, he's trying to call him out. Look what they say about Fetterman. Well, I didn't vote for Fetterman to have him do this. He's showing his true colors. And some people are like, I warned you about Fetterman, that he'd be another Joe Manchin. Oh, so he's the only sane member of Congress from your party. Okay, I'm sure he'll take the moniker. How dare he say that Trump is not Adolf Hitler? See, he failed, at least this one time, to worship at the altar of Orange Man bad. So now Fetterman is in is not in their good graces anymore. That was insane. When I saw that story the other day, I'm like, John Fetterman is still a liberal. Well, he's a leftist. He's just not a communist. He hasn't lurched that far off. Lurch hasn't lurched that far off. People compare them all the time, which is hysterical, by the way. And then Romania condemns irresponsible Moscow after Russian drone breaches its airspace. Apparently several drones wove in and out of Romanian airspace briefly. And they scrambled jets, and they were given the ability, the okay to shoot them down. They weren't ordered to do so, but they were given the okay, the pilots were. But they chose not to because they're like, well, this debris might very well fall on someone's farmhouse, and we don't want an incident, so it's just skirting the border anyway, and then I guess it just disappeared. Probably eventually, it might be, keep this in mind, in some cases in war, you get a snafu, and everything's fucked up, and something bad happens. A mistake. There have been, look at the Battle of May Island with the British military, for example, back with their ships back in World War II, or around that area, I think it was, when an entire cavalcade of ships made a series of blunders and rammed into each other, and some of them were all fucked up, and, I think some people died, actually. It wasn't an actual battle. It was a military mishap. These happen all the time. Anyway, also another thing I wanted to talk about is don't begin liking Fetterman simply because he happens to be less insane. That's like saying that you took a dog turd and sprinkled it with rainbow sprinkles, and so now all of a sudden it's nice. Now, it's still a dog turd. You've just made it look nicer on the outside. That's John Fetterman. He's still on the left wing. It represents 90% of the same views as even the hardliners within the Democratic Party. He's just unabashedly pro-Israel, which, take it or leave it for whatever your opinion is. And he acknowledges that the rhetoric, and here's the thing, he's being more strategic, not ideological. I'll try to explain. He acknowledges that just because somebody's a Republican doesn't mean they're an evildoer, and just because Trump is there doesn't mean Orange Man bad. He's not an evildoer. Hey, I disagree with much of Trump's doing, but he's not a tyrant. He's doing this for pragmatic reasons, and I imagine that he knuckles his fairly prominent brow on a regular basis when idiots like AOC open their yap, or Ilhan Omar and Bernie Sanders, people like that. Because, like a handful of Democrats, he's woken up to the likelihood that the party begins losing a significant number of people that still do support it, because they're simply not being pragmatic. They're embracing communism, quite literally. Well, that's been rejected even by the center-left in the United States. By the way, center-left, people that Fetterman, by the way, for egotistical purposes, if only, needs to vote for him. And so it's become a problem for the Democrats. And by problem, I mean big problem. Because the problem for the DNC is that because Democrats disproportionately blame them and like the party leadership, which are all neoliberals, they blame them mainly for the loss in the last election. And if they lose the midterms, they'll probably do it again. But the left harps on this constantly. And they harp on these other social issues. Now, the majority of Americans disagree with many of their positions, but they are in safe blue districts. So unless you want to come out of even further left field, you're not going to be able to do anything about them being there. The Democratic Party has set itself off on a spiral by whining and dining these people and mollycoddling them and changing their fucking diapers all the time and letting them spout off constantly because there's nothing they can do to stop them. What are they going to do against AOC, for example? She's in a district that will vote for her. There's no possibility of the Republicans knocking her out, and it's going to be almost impossible to find a Democrat further left than she is. So she's there to stay. She'll probably be in there for life. That'd be funny. AOC when she's 80 years old. There'll be people still nostalgically thirsting for her like morons. Mikuhuntu, Chunk Yogurt is doing the same thing. Do not trust. Yeah, you may have noticed that as Zhank's career has cratered, he has decided to play as though he is somehow a moderate. He's not a moderate. No, he's a communist too. Or at least he's a socialist. He's a little bit less far left than some of these people. Okay, he basically is like a Bill Maher. He's further left than that too. Now we can get to bans. I did want to check, though, on RCP if the news had flipped over. Ah, I do believe that it has. Intradasting, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, Robert Reich is coming in hot with a new report. Trump's Phase 2 attack on democracy begins. And, of course, it's got a picture of a big fat dude with a red hat and the shirt that says GOP and a bunch of angry people. And, underneath his weight, the foundation of democracy is beginning to crack and crumble. It's a crude stereotype of people who happen to be Trump supporters. Do I look obese? If anything, people keep telling me to eat a fucking steak. Robert Reich is one of those people, along with Paul Krugman and a few others, who are consistently wrong and constantly hyperbolic. As in, I haven't seen anything that he's written that isn't, actually. Phase 1 entailed an assault on universities that utilize so-called diversity, equity, inclusion, harbor faculty members and students who speak out critically against Benjamin Netanyahu's genocide in Palestine, or offer classes critical of the United States history towards black people and Native Americans. That's not exactly what critical race theory and its other offshoots from DEI actually do, but, I mean, of course. Criticize, the United States violent history, like what we just saw the other day when dude's neck was shot because he was using his free speech. It happens all the time, dude. That is our history, violence. It ain't just white people doing that. And gone after media, well, yeah, and that's good, actually. To try to suppress criticism of Trump on the media platforms. Look, if Donald Trump's Phase 1 to take over the United States and cripple democracy is to muzzle the legacy media, he has sorely not prevailed. He has completely failed at that. If anything, they've doubled down on their attacks on him and gotten even more frenetic. Phase 2, it appears, will entail a more direct attack on all of Trump's political opponents, including the entire Democratic Party. Well, since he's in the GOP, I mean, attacking the Democratic Party is obviously something he's going to do. That's kind of, politically speaking at least, part of his job. Trump has vowed to order troops into cities run by Democrats: Washington, D.C., Chicago, Memphis, and New Orleans. Hey, New Orleans? Huh, it'll be fun next time I'm down there. That sounds great. And get some selfies. And he was, it makes no sense. But it's Robert Reich. So we're not surprised about this. I'm imagining his reaction to Charlie Kirk. Oh, I abhor violence too, but he was a hateful individual. That's basically the sum and substance. I like it when they have to talk out of both sides of their neck. So they're in a position like Robert Reich or a Krugman or something. They can't directly advocate for violence or insinuate an advocation of violence or even justify it, but they will do the but, as we've seen from many articles. Charlie Kirk should not be dead. Political violence is wrong. But his fascist rhetoric has amped up violence, and he also said he didn't believe in gun control. So it's not his fault that he's dead, but it's his fault. That's basically what they're saying. That's basically what they're saying. See if we got anything else here. I zoomed through the news today a little bit quicker. Must be the extra mushroom pills. I'm feeling high energy. This morning I felt like shit, actually. I felt sick, but now I feel fine. I think it was the chimichangas that I ate last night. I think I got messed up a little bit, had mild food poisoning or some shit. Trump is right. George Soros belongs in prison. We're not going to bother talking about that because it's self-evident. Oh yeah. Oh, Kathy Hochul endorsed Mom Donnie. Let's see, it's an opinion piece. Let's guess why. I haven't scrolled down yet. Let's guess why. Why would you endorse him? Oh, because he's the only one that can win. That's probably going to be the ethos here. Let's see. I'm just reading really quickly. In light of the abhorrent and destructive policies coming out of Washington every day, I needed to know the next mayor will not be someone who would surrender 1 inch to President Trump. So this is a diss at Cuomo and Eric Adams, basically. I don't leave my conversations with Mr. Mamdani aligned with him on every issue. There's your plausible deniability, by the way, for when he fails. Yeah, I'm going to archive this. Oh, it's already archived. Sometimes I open a piece on RCP and it's already archived. I love that, by the way. Good job, everyone. Archive everything. Archive.is. I am confident he has the courage, urgency, and optimism New York City needs to lead it through the challenges of this moment. Yeah, so basically, he's going to try to cock-block Trump in doing anything in New York City. That's his qualification. And to be clear, I am not taken in on Cuomo or Eric Adams either. I think I like Eric Adams better than Cuomo, although he's not viable as a candidate. Personally, I think he should throw in with Cuomo. On a joint ticket, they might have the votes to actually prevent Mamdani from winning. But I don't care. And I'll tell you why I don't care and why you shouldn't care either. He's running for mayor of New York City. Well, I'm not in New York City, so nothing he does affects me. But it'll affect one of the most blue spots in the country. And so if Mamdani totally wipes out, that's going to be helpful for fighting back against communist causes. He's declared himself a socialist. He openly admits to being a socialist. I've had liberals try to say, well, he's not really a commie or a socialist. He says he's a socialist. There's no difference between democratic socialism and just socialism in general. They're the same thing. It's only the methodology by which the socialism is actually infused into your economy and your culture. That's the only difference. That's the only delineation. One socialist shoots people in order to engage in socialism, and the other one gets voted in and then they shoot them. That's basically the only difference. Socialism is a cancer. Need to do something about it. Namely, education and debate. That's why we need to fight against censorship and reform the educational system. Randall Flagg, Sticks, is there Antifa in Vermont? They are celebrating Kirk's death here for bashing the fash. Nipples protruding. Very, very disrespectful. I loved that meme, by the way. There is Antifa here, I'm sure, but I don't really see any particular activity. This is Rutland, so it's a little bit different. I'm sure up in Burlington, I'm sure it would be more present, but down here, not really so much. It's still a little bit of the good old boy farmer mentality here, at least for now. Let's hope it continues. All I want to do is grow a garden. It's already overgrown. It's still better than the Chaz garden. Cleared out my herbs earlier, actually. The marjoram, sage. I've got some others. I got some thyme in there. And I'm going to be harvesting pretty much everything above ground, probably today, actually, and drying it. Because, the weather is dry right now. Some of the plants are beginning to wither. Like, I had to save the peach tree. So I went out there and I watered it. And I'm actually going to water a few things later, too. Because the drought is moving from mild to moderate to just fully moderate to maybe getting towards severe. And we do not have any rain for the next week. So, make sure to ash out your butts fully. Don't throw matches, and please don't be an arsonist, because it could lead to a major fire. Snakes bleed red. Isn't Vermont a super blue state? Yes, all but 2 counties. Rutland is a swing state sort of place, and the Northeast Kingdom is actually heavily Republican. A lot of people think that that a state is a state is a state. Now, you go to different zones in the state, you're going to meet vastly different people. Even within cities. New York City, you go to much of the Bronx, it's sort of swing state mode. You go to Staten Island, it's actually pretty far right. The rest of New York City is pretty left. Especially Manhattan. When you're a corrupt banker that's taking political kickbacks, it's probably better to side with the Democrats. They're going to give you more money, so... Just business advice, unofficially, to corrupt individuals. So, yeah, we've got... Kathy Hochul, why I'm endorsing... Yeah, I might as well keep that archived, because that's hilarious. Maybe I'll archive Reich's article, too, and I'll get into it in more detail tomorrow in a one-off video or something like that. I like this. Will Gooding, Sticks, do you think that Trump should reintroduce the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 as the Kirk Act and also extend it to online influencers? Also, should he designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization? To the first, yes. To the second, it's difficult to actually do that and have it be legally binding. It'd probably be better to just designate him as a street gang, honestly. I realize that they do get laundered money from international sources, which would fit generally the definition. They definitely engage in terroristic acts. But it would be more difficult. It'd be easier to just call them a gang, Snakes bleed red. Lol, then what are you talking about? Good old boy farmer mentality. Because I'm saying that there are a lot of people that are like that here in Rutland. And as far as I've seen no Antifa presence here or anything like that. I have seen some right-wing rallying. I mean, you see like the lay liberals and stuff like that around here too, but that's going to be anywhere. Like, you can go out to a cornfield in Wyoming, you'll still find some people that are liberal, but you're probably not going to find much Antifa graffiti. Closest thing I saw is that at one point next to the Grand Union, someone had spray painted Black Lives Matter on one of the concrete blocks that's over there, and somebody else covered it up with White Lives Matter. I thought that was funny. Copium Poppies, nah, Antifa is domestic and foreign terrorist organization. I saw way more Antifa presence over in Germany, or eastern parts of the Netherlands, actually. The Enschede area has some activity. Not a huge amount, but it's there. That's the first time, actually, in my life, when I went over to Europe, it's the first time in my life I've ever seen anything Antifa-related. They have this one retarded sticker that says, the Antifa Gnome, and it's got like a picture of David the Gnome with the Antifa flag. It's just like, what the fuck? No wonder it's hard for you to get... No wonder it's a sausage party, too. I can't imagine that those scrawny imps are getting many girls. They probably don't want them anyway. Ben Bacon, wasn't it funny how liberals said Trump is a threat to democracy, and then he won the popular vote? That was funny. They don't say it as much now. Yeah. I mean, they made a big stink about the popular vote when Hillary Clinton won the popular vote but lost the electoral vote. But then when Trump wins both the electoral and popular votes, all of a sudden it doesn't matter as much now, does it? Sticks, you missed Bussy Wigger's super chat. Oh, thank you. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, sometimes it's difficult because I like to pay attention to the main chat. Sometimes I have to, I'm not seeing any super chat by a person of that username. This must be some sort of joke. It must be a joke. Yeah, no, you trolling. Many such cases. Cam 2425 IA. Why can't any Antifa groups go down in a RICO case if I tied to, say, Soros by paper trail payments? Yeah, the problem is finding evidence of that happening. When you have billions and billions of dollars and lots of political fronts and things like that, it's easy to shuffle money around, you know? BW, he means me, Sticks. I thought I read yours out. Let me go to it. No, I read that about the Lincoln plan. I read that one. If you sent a different one, it didn't go through. Yeah, no, the Liberia plan failed because the North, after winning the war, engaged in a bunch of carpetbagging. Of course, Lincoln is dead. Lincoln was a proponent of that. Bobby Bumson, on you being an Indian, of course. See, I'm not seeing it. It's not there. Well, anyway, whatever you asked, yes, I am supposedly part Abenaki. I do not consider that to make me a Native American any more than any of my other lineage because my parents were born in the United States. I am natively here. Ta-da! Copium poppies. They purposely call themselves an idea to avoid consequences. They are one organization with numerous cells, whether they admit it or not. Anyone flying the Antifa flag is a terrorist. I disagree. It's just like not everyone flying a Nazi flag is going to engage in National Socialist terrorism. Now, you might assume that they have certain ethnic views and things of that nature, in other words, socialism, which is funny, but it shouldn't be illegal or anything like that. Because then you're giving the government the artificial ability to, cripple movements simply because it declares them to be terroristic. And the threshold for that, when you control the whole government, is pretty low. So I wouldn't support it, actually. I know some people might not agree with that, but that's my principle. As far as designating them a gang, however, they quite clearly are. Because they gang up on harmless individuals on a regular basis. They don't care whose car they're torching at the time. Virgil's Shadow, the left has destroyed themselves for the midterms. Do you think Hassan and Destiny will finally be deplatformed? No, I doubt that they'll be deplatformed. When you get paid by foreign governments, you tend to have, insiders. Randall Flagg, I think Jeremy canceled his meetups in the wake of the shooting to avoid Antifa pushback. It was scheduled for next month in Pittsburgh. Do you agree? And that is possible because the left is getting awfully riled up at the moment. So the risk of violence from the left definitely is elevated at this moment. So I wouldn't blame him if he did for that reason. Copium poppies. Nazis didn't riot and destroy our cities. Antifa did. Nazis didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Antifa did. Also, being a communist is illegal, and they are a communist organization. It's not illegal to be a communist. It's illegal to try to immigrate to the United States while being one. And of course, some of their members are immigrants, so maybe they can lose their wait. Oh, never mind. Yeah, maybe they can lose their passports. So yeah, I've already got a couple shots in the locker for tomorrow there. That's what I'm talking about. The worst thing is that usually you get bipolar news. So you take one event and you have people on, the liberal or leftist side, and then you have someone on, the conservative or libertarian side analyzing something. You get two totally different stories. People don't understand how much their minds are being scrambled. If it was an egg, it would be a scrambled egg. Hopefully it's a tasty one. By the way, ketchup goes on scrambled eggs. Just saying. I'm going to start controversy on purpose. It wouldn't be a Styx Hexen stream unless we got into at least a brief food debate, once per stream. Salsa, mustard, Abbott sauce, Tapasio. Copium poppies. Communist Control Act was never repealed, nor has the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. It's called a blue law. Furthermore, the implications of being a communist means they're guilty of treason and insurrection. Only if it involves a foreign state. If all they want to do is overhaul the United States and make it a communist nation, that is not treason. Is it stupid? Yes. Is it absolutely beyond retarded? Yes. Would I support it? Hell no. But it's not illegal. Also, the Civil Rights Act doesn't cover communists. True. Yeah, no, if a private company wants to fire someone because they're making videos with Antifa flags and stuff, well, never mind, because most Antifa members don't have jobs. Yeah, the left is comprised of a very bizarre coalition. Again, I should use the term communist, but there are people that are on the left, but they're not communistic, and then there are just the lay liberals. So the lay liberals get grouped together with them. So you have the center left, where it's like, hey, I'm just sort of independent, but, I lean left on a few major issues. That would be your center left. The lay liberal would be the smug NPR cup-wielding sweater wearer in the suburbs that turns their thermostat down 2 degrees and believes that'll keep the world from turning into Tatooine due to climate change. Then you have the core left. That's what most of them would be. And that's people like the so-called progressives, some of the more laid-back so-called social democrats and shit like that. The fence striders, basically. Well, I'm not a liberal. Are you a commie? Well, I'm not a commie either. I just happen to share ideology from both of them. And then you've got the outright commies. You've got people like Mom Donnie. When you're fighting for rental price freezes and government-run stores and things like that, that is literally a hallmark of communism. So there's no other way to put it. Mom Donnie is the commie. Based Acid Fox is now quoting Prince. It's a sad state of affairs. Yes, but indeed, ketchup goes on scrambled eggs or fried eggs. That's fine. It doesn't have to have it, but it's good. Or soft-boiled eggs. Not hard-boiled, though. Once they're hard-boiled, they must remain ketchup-free. Although, if yeah, maybe that's something I'll try on a live stream soon. I'll make hard-boiled eggs and I'll devil them, but I'll use ketchup with the yolk. I wonder if that's any good. It probably would be. I mean, yeah, I can imagine the flavors blending properly. Copium poppies. Living war against the government, i.e. the people and constitution, is treason. War doesn't have to come from a foreign government. The president swears an oath to defend against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. True, I agree with you completely. I'm just saying that if a group is not currently, because Antifa is not fully centrally organized. There is a central organizational capacity with regards to their propaganda wing, but the individual sects of Antifa sort of do their own locally organized thing. So it's a legal gray area, one that does need to be addressed. Will Gooding, sending $100, thank you. Sticks, what do you think of the list of close to 100,000 names the Charlie Kirk Info Fund have amassed on X of individuals espousing political violence and celebrating his death? Also, ketchup does go on scrambled eggs as well as corned beef hash on toast. True, all 3 of them. I agree. By the way, you butter the toast heavily and then put the ketchup on? It's a match made in heaven. It's delicious, as long as the toast is cooked right. I fully support this list of people. What I would say as a caution is that and this is my belief, so take it or leave it. My belief is if somebody is simply making a meme or, saying, ha, the witch is dead or something, unless they're in a role where they're taxpayer funded, they're working for a corporation that takes taxpayer money, or something like that, or they're in healthcare or something along those lines, so, people's lives are in their hands. Those people would be culpable for that, but otherwise, I would not like it if someone got fired simply for that. It's stupid, it's rude, but it is still free speech. If they are inciting violence, though, or they're insinuating that other people should become violent or something like that, can them. Shit can them. Make sure that they're out of a job. That'd be funny. Especially since, keep in mind, a lot of these hypocrites had no problem whatsoever and didn't say a goddamn thing with regards to the platforming of people whose totally legal, non-inciting, non-violent political speech simply offended their fifis. This is a little bit personal to me. Hassan Piker, for example, right now, basically celebrating Charlie Kirk's death and then lamenting the fact that people would be deplatformed as a result of doing the same. Who was the only so-called conservative, I'm not a conservative, but who was the only non-left-wing commentator that defended you, Hassan, when YouTube decided to screw you and temporarily ban your channel? Oh, that's right. It was me. I think I was the only one who actually did that. I didn't see any other support for you. It was goofy. Copium, they still show solidarity with each other, aiding and abetting. Only if they provide material support. Now, that's where the nuance comes in. The propaganda network and the centralized apparatus would be aiding and abetting. So those, you could take those out. But you wouldn't be able to do anything about someone who's simply just wearing an Antifa shirt and carrying a Palestinian flag. There's nothing you can really do about it. They might get fired from their non-existent job, I suppose. Yeah, I've defended leftoids before. When big tech has screwed them, I've defended them as well. I notice that this is a one-way road. It's just some of us have ideological principles. Others are simply seeking sponsorship deals and plushie lines and stuff like that. They want to get picked up by MSNBC, maybe. That'd be funny if some of these left-wing commentators, they do get the platform, and then you see they have to do like a shitty podcast for some local TV station. Rabbit. Sticks. Thoughts on Obama buying Fort Monmouth for N Studio? Link me over on Twitter if you can. I haven't seen anything about it. So not sure if meaningless or legacy media cover-up. You can never be quite sure. Copium Poppies, we need not defend the freedom of those who would take our freedom. Yes, we do, because otherwise, everyone's freedom is gone. I do believe in debating them. I do believe in pushing back when they push, but I don't believe in utilizing the Ring of Sauron to try to destroy Mordor, so to speak. It's a bad idea. Because if the government gains the power to suppress these groups, it has the power to suppress every other group under the sun. The less limitations on it, the worse. And it's the fucking government that's causing these problems anyway. Differential enforcement, discrimination, and all of these other things. The uniparty is evil. Let's just put it plainly. Let's not mince words. Let's call a spade a spade. It's evil. It's a force of evil. It wants to enslave the entire world, basically. It's not just the US government, it's all the governments. There are people in government that are genuinely trying to do the right thing, but they are not the majority. And so they need a little bit of help sometimes. I like to think that the people of the world generally are peace-loving and want to be left alone to grow some sorghum or something like that. Yes, Sigil, that's why we must destroy Mount Doom. Concentrated juice. You believe letting communists be free to take our freedom? No, quite the opposite. I think that we should defang the government that they would use to do such a thing. We defang the government as much as we can to limit the capability of that government to impose tyranny, basically. We do need desperate reform, especially of the bureaucratic system, though. Get rid of the Department of Education. Fuck it. It hasn't done us any good. Get rid of the IRS. It's inefficient, woefully, and doesn't need to exist. Tax form should be a single sheet of paper or a fucking email or something like that. Spike, that's the case for me. I work at a hospital that's state and OSHA compliant. These people need to be fired or the university can face future lawsuits. True. BW, they aren't getting arrested, Sticks. The lefties told us that's all that matters. It's a private company, leftoids. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I know. We're finally getting active with regards to some of their stupid shenanigans. No, I don't want any incarnation of government to have more power than it already does. It's already got 99 times the amount of power that it should have. It should be out of sight and out of mind and small enough to fit in your pocket. That way, if the government is like that, let people do their own thing. If somebody fucks up, then have a bunch of guns pointed at that one gunman so that they can't harm anybody. That's the whole point. People should do it themselves because we're more trustworthy than the government is anyway. You really trust some... Who would you rather be on a desert island? A politician or some randomly chosen fucking civilian? I'm taking the civilian. I don't care how old they are, what race they are, what gender they are. It does not matter to me. I would say flip a coin, basically. Use a random number generator and, some person comes on the island with you. They'll probably be more reliable. Probably be less corrupt. Copium papes. Protecting the freedom of those who want to take your freedom is suicidal. The only way to remove the threat of authoritarianism is to use their tactics against them. They don't know any other language. You're wrong. No, what you do is what our founders attempted to do. When they were trying to shake off the shackles of authoritarianism, what did they do? They bided their time, and they attempted to address their grievances, and they protested, and they sent people over to talk to the crown and to parliament and so forth. They spent years doing this. In the end, because of the old world authoritarian mentality, which was government down, they did not listen to them. So civilians began to act. They had no choice. But they exhausted every other possibility first. And they never voted to give the crown more power. Well, Parliament is really the ones that are screwing us, and this is, by the way, true. We need to give more monarchic power to the king. That's not what they did. Instead, they tried to address things, file the papers, make the speeches and stuff for years and years and years. We need to be as long-breathed as them. Who is in Corey Feldman's music video? Corey Feldman can fly? I have no idea what conversation is going over on Rumble. I have no clue. This is the thing. Having two chats that I have to pay attention to makes it difficult to keep up with every conversation. One thing that we desperately need to do is straight for the jugular education system. Disband the Department of Education completely and do not replace it. Get rid of Common Core crap. Get rid of No Child Left, so-called behind. Those are Bush-Obama policies, and they haven't done anything good. Give it generally back to the states with relatively minimal federal oversight. If you want to have standardized test systems involved, you should up the standards, not lower them. That's just basically admitting defeat. And get rid of the DEI in our classrooms. Ban it entirely. And get rid of the teachers' unions. That would make it 10 times easier. As long as you can get rid of the teachers' unions and go to an all-charter school system, everything's great. Copium, we already addressed our grievances. The Founding Fathers used force to take our nation from the British. Force is an inherently authoritarian tactic. The American Revolution only proves me correct. Well, keep in mind that we were British citizens at the time as well. And again, after spending a significant amount of time attempting to peacefully resolve the issue, they finally had no choice because they were fired on at Lexington and conquered. It wasn't about tea and stamps, believe it or not. Some of you probably were taught wrong in school. You were taught, for example, that Paul Revere made his famous ride and said, the British are coming, the British are coming. But he couldn't have possibly said that because they were also British. They were not a foreign entity at the time. He said the regulars were coming. Number one. I hate it when people say that. They even had an Andy Griffith episode where he was saying that, and I think Andy was instructing his son on, I don't know, some historical school report. And I was like, oh, that's wrong. It's not what he said. It would be physically impossible. But also, it wasn't about tea and things like that. What led to the original grievance was no taxation without representation, admittedly. But when people started, low-key fighting back, all of a sudden a bunch of British troops arrived, a bunch of regulars. And it didn't become a problem at first until they decided to try to disarm everyone, and then they started shooting. Interesting history, by the way. We've in only a few centuries, the United States has had one hell of an interesting history when you think about it. Copium poppies. If you give states the authority to choose curriculum and policy, blue states will be even worse with the communism in schools with no oversight. Well, then, oh well, if blue state kids are going to be dumb, then I guess that's a price we have to pay, right? It's better than hauling off and shooting people, like the left wants to do. Inland Surfer. Burlington lost its vibe. A lot of buildings boarded up. Best thing about Burlington now is the Burton Snowboard Factory. Take the tour and watch the best snowboards in the world be built. Good dominoes, too. Never been snowboarding, never will. I don't like winter sports. When it's winter, in this climate, I think I'd just rather sit there with a hot cup of tea. Preferably from Jam and Bean. Will Gooding. Sticks, do you think that Charlie's assassination is the most politically galvanizing since MLK and has sparked a massive online political movement in response? I would say, yeah, it's on par with that or the attempted assassination on Trump or with the JFK assassination, yeah. I would say that all of these have been absolutely massive moments. It's even more now. Because now you've got the internet, so it's literally everybody weighing in. It's not like before, like when JFK is shot, it's like everyone's glued to their TVs. Martin Luther King shot, everyone's glued to their TVs. But there's the public participation is you went down to the store with the good old boys and then discussed it and stuff like that. You talked about it with your friends. Nowadays, your friends are probably in other countries in some cases, so it's a little bit different. Copium. Using authoritarian tactics against authoritarians is how you gain freedom for those who value freedom. That is how we got the Bill of Rights. Wrong. The reason why the left has had so much success is that it tried to undermine the system from within. As opposed to the old school, like, hippie-trippy, man, like, fuck the system, man. We're just gonna grow our shit, man. Look at the Chaz Garden. I think the hippies back then probably did a better job. Most of them became libertarian survivalists, by the way. Except the ones that moved to Vermont, turning the state blue. It's an infiltration tactic. Well, why can't right-wing groups do the same thing? You got to play a little bit of catch-up, but if you... But if you think that, leftism is morally abhorrent and intellectually devoid of meaning, which it is, then you can outflank them. What they want you to do is be demoralized to the point where you lash out in anger and start shooting or something like that. They want you to become violent. Right now, the average person in the United States, independent voter, somebody who's not terribly partisan, is looking at the left and saying, okay, you're blowing people's heads off, and then whining when people are celebrating it and they're like a banker or something, they get fired from their position. But you spent years literally trying to censor people for hurting your feelings. Look, even back years ago, look at what happened to Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer is just sitting there giving a speech, and because somebody thought he was hateful and got their feelings hurt, they just wander up and punch him in the face. Think what you will about Richard Spencer, but it was undeserved. You know? Balls. Do you think everything is going to get worse or better? I believe that it's going to become better, actually, in the very, very near future. So, hold on to your assholes, boys. King of Biltong. Almost forgot. Check out BiltongUSA.com. We are adding a lot of new items to the site. We have tons of imported grocery items. Have to check some of that out. Yep, Ross. Yeah, the quartering was attacked too. It's happened all the time. I fondly anticipate the day when I get to join the club of commentators that are not communists who get bitch slapped or something like that. Sounds like fun. Copium poppies. I'm not advocating individuals take authoritarian actions against the left. I'm advocating the government doing its job and removing communists from our society. The problem is if somebody is a communist and they're born in the United States or they were legalized into the United States, not a whole lot you can do about it. Anyways, I think I'm going to go offline. I need to do a brief news crawl. And then I've got literary work to do as well, I suppose. Set up for tomorrow's live stream as well. We'll probably, I've got a couple of these open, and there were a couple of other topics that people mentioned. I'm going to look up some of them. And if anyone does ever get any good news, content for me to cover, Stix666 official on Twitter. That's my handle there. And I get news submissions a lot. So if I don't reply, it's probably gotten buried or something like that. Copium. The British may have been a different form of authoritarian than communists, but the solution is the same. Force. It's not what our founders suggested. Just saying. Don't get yourself arrested for murder. That's about all. Oh, by remove I mean execute. See, that's the problem. Oh, Will Gooding. I just saw where VP Vance will be hosting the Charlie Kirk show in his honor tomorrow, courtesy of Benny Johnson. Nice. So yeah, I'm going to go offline, and I will be back tomorrow. I'm kind of hungry too. That's about all.